Hello, princesses, and welcome back to Not Fit for Print Beauty with me, Rebecca. Today we have a little bit of a high-low video. Okay, let me restate that. High-medium video, luxury, high-end. Anyway, higher and medium video. We're going to look at two liquid highlighters, both new. We have the Tarte Glow Tape Highlighter. Oh, we'll talk about it in a moment. Basically, what you think, just like the Tarte Shape Tape blush was a dupe of the liquid blush from Charlotte Tilbury, this is a little bit of a dupe of the Glow from Charlotte Tilbury, but we'll talk about that in a moment. And then in our high or luxury end here, we have a new highlighter from YSL. This is the Saint Laurent New and You Halo Tint Highlighter. There's three of these, and I was able to purchase this on the Sephora sale. We have two cheeks, two recently released liquid highlighters. I figured we would just go with it, even though usually Saint Laurent and Tarte are probably not mentioned in the same breath. We tend to have them in the same makeup wardrobes, don't we? So we might as well talk about them together. And here's the surprise. Are you ready? This sells for $35, the Tarte, and the YSL sells for $28. So there you go. Who's luxury now? Let me tell you. Okay, I've got two brushes, although I don't know if we're going to need them, but I do have two so that we're not cross-contaminating products. And obviously I have two cheeks, so we are going to give these a little try. Okay, let's talk about them as we apply them. First, the Tarte, this is the Glow Tape Highlighter, and this is a dupe, it really is, pretty much straight up, of the Charlotte Tilbury Glow Wands, just like Tarte did, and I previously reviewed a kind of glowing blush that had the same mechanism and delivery system as the Charlotte Tilbury matte blush that she released. This is the same thing, almost looks exactly the same. We have the little spongy, and you turn it to the left. You got to turn it to open it. If you turn it and then don't close it, it could leak. And then you basically just squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and squeeze until you get the product. But remember to close it. Then you could do 1 dot, 2 dot, 3 dot, whatever you want. Sometimes these lift up product underneath, so it's best to tap rather than spread, but I did bring a brush over just in case. These are $35. I linked them down below at Ulta. They're not apparently at Sephora, correct me if I'm wrong, but you know what's interesting? You can get these on QVC for $42.90. Now the reason that's pretty good is you pick it with one of the blush versions of the same thing. So kind of pretty together and a nice little savings. And I also linked that below. Okay, so I'm going to tap. These are nice and cool, almost like startlingly cool. Now these come in 3 shades. This is obviously Pearl Glow right here, and I'm going to tap that onto the skin. I'll also show you it on my arm. And there we go with the Pearl Glow, very pretty. Again, I am tapping, kind of gently pressing. Looks like I'm slapping. I promise you I'm not. Kind of gently pressing that into the skin. Does this show any sort of texture? Well, you know, a tiny bit. It is indeed a highlighter. So, you know, what do we expect? But it's a very pretty in this Pearl Glow shade. Neither, kind of a neutral, maybe a tad bit warm leaning, but not too much. Let's put on a little bit more just to exaggerate it. I don't know why, but these are startlingly cold to me on the cheek. I don't know if anybody else feels that with some of these liquid products. I always kind of jump a little bit when I apply them. And I'm going to put a little bit on my finger there and just tap up here. Again, you can use a brush or a sponge, but I just find using a finger works well. And if you want, you can even go onto the cheek and have a little bit of a blush topping depending on how glowy you want to be, but it will make texture a tad bit more pronounced. Very pretty. Let's put it onto my arm, make a little bit of a mess here for you to see. There it is in the Pearl Glow. Really pretty. Really pretty. And we'll get those outside in just a moment for you to see. Remember to close this by turning it before you put the cap on, or you could have a little bit of a mess waiting for you. While I get this swatch on my arm everywhere, let's talk about the YSL or Saint Laurent new product. We've had primers, we've had foundations. I didn't like those that much, but there is a blush from New that I reviewed forever ago when it came out that I still use. They're really kind of nice luminous, kind of transparent, really buildable colors. So I'm really looking forward to this in the highlight as well. It's kind of the latest addition. This comes in 3 shades. It's radiant with no fragrance. No fragrance here on the Tarte either. And though the 3 shades, I got the shade New Rosy Quartz, which I looked this morning, that seems to be sold out on the Sephora site. So I'll link it somewhere else as well, but there are 3 shades for $28. This is the new Halo Tint highlighter. Let's do a little swatch first. I don't know how it's going to compare. This one is a much different dispenser. It's just got basically a little tube that you squeeze it out of. What a pretty kind of cool tone shade. Almost looks a bit silver, doesn't it? And let's see it here. Oh, wow. That is a pretty shade. I am kind of lucky I got that, huh? Doesn't that look nice? Look at that there next to it. Let's take this outside into the warm California sunshine and have a look at that on my arm outside. Isn't that pretty? All right, and let's apply this now in much the same way. You can do that, but I think that's going to put too much product on. So I'm going to go ahead and just put it onto my finger. You can put it onto the back of your hand. Do whatever you want and do as many. I still find it coldly startling. This is an interesting, almost silvery, for those of you in my cool tone revolution army here, my folks who are waiting for everything to be cool tone instead of warm tone, you guys would really like this shade. Hopefully it will come back in. That is it applied very sparingly. Let's see. It's so cold. I don't know what it is with me and these liquid products. I jump. What do my daughters call this? A jump scare. Now, interestingly enough, no scent, but I smell a little bit of alcohol, oddly. So that could, I don't see these as drying. Wow, I'm getting almost a silver robotic look off of this one. So you got to use it sparingly. And I purposefully did not use it sparingly so that you guys could see it. But a little less texture emphasized here, bit of a thicker product. So when I look from at both cheeks, this one also has a much more of a staying power. So I could really spread this Tarte. It's an odd thing to compare Tarte to YSL, but stay with me here. I could really spread this Tarte product and probably still spread it now. And the YSL is really kind of staying. So I chatted and played around a little bit. And it's kind of like here, I'd like to kind of move the product a little bit more, but it definitely almost feels like a liquid eye that just kind of stays. By the way, you can take this product, you can take the Tarte product too, but the YSL product brags about the fact that you can mix it in with moisturizer, you can mix it in with a foundation, you could just put it all over your skin for a glow. But let me just warn you, this is interesting. This is gonna have, some playtime, and then it almost pretty much sets. What an interesting look when it does. And we could even take this and put this, I'm putting it on my finger here, and just kind of put it onto the center of the eye. And that's not going to go anywhere or crease. So that's kind of an interesting property to it that separates it from the Tarte. The Tarte product really is kind of a dupe of Charlotte Tilbury. This new is from YSL is an interesting kind of creature in its own right. I just put it on both eyes. It sets like a liquid eye. Very interesting. I think YSL New is a product that should actually be talked about more. I don't know why it isn't. That is really interesting. And the shade, I can see why this shade sold out in particular. Look for this New Rosy Quartz if you can. It's a silvery pink and very unique. Now, both are showing a little bit of texture. To ask highlight not to show texture there are some highlights that don't show texture. I'm not saying it can't be done, but in general, it's not something that happens. Highlights. So, it's going to show a little bit of texture. And I always say we should just be proud of our texture. We've earned it. But I do understand out there that there's a lot of folks that just, they're not comfortable with it. I get it. Trust me, I get it. So if you're not, any highlight will be a problem. But it's a really interesting highlight. And this Tarte one is just a fun one to pick up, especially if you can get it on QVC, where they sell it in a bundle with its little blush. Kind of a cute little look. Both really, really pretty. And let me tell you, the one to get, nothing wrong with the Tarte. Nothing wrong with it. Just kind of a dupe glow wand. But the YSL, this is an interesting product. Their blush as well, if you could pick up the new NU blush as well. But I'm liking this, and I would like to look at this in other shades. This is innovative. And, you know, who would think that something innovative could be done at this point in time with a highlight? You know what I mean? All right, so definitely worth checking out. Leave your comments below. Did you get this? I mean, this particular shade sold out, so a lot of people did pick it up in the sale. Let me know your thoughts. Tell me which one you prefer on me. This one's a little bit kind of high fashion-y feeling. But this is really set. And this one, see, this is a little bit tacky. Not that it's coming off on my hand, but it remains a little bit tacky. This is set. This YSL side is very much like a liquid eyeshadow that just sets. So that's actually kind of cool. I'm a little bit more impressed with this one. And it's cheaper than the Tarte. Go figure, go figure. All right, tell me what you got. Tell me what you think. It's what makes us a community. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I sure hope that you did. Hey, if you haven't already done so, make sure that you subscribe to this channel so we can continue to grow. Do me a favor and come over and say a big hello when you're on Instagram or TikTok. You can become a bigger part of this community by becoming a member or by giving super thanks, as so many of you have done. But in any way that you choose to be involved, please know that I am just thrilled to have you, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Bye-bye.